It's 4:20 in the morning, so it's not exactly morning, it's midnight, but I have to talk about this. It's about passion, and when something starts to become meaningful to you, and by meaningful I mean you want to perfect it. Or not even perfect, that might sound a bit too controlling. When you have passion for something, you want to give it your best, right? When do you start to have passion for something? I was working on Conrad today, and probably going to be working on it tomorrow as well, but in my opinion, I think you really start to have passion for a project when I think it's two things. One is you've poured a lot of time into it, and two is, and this is probably more important, is when the project or whatever you're working on has reached a point where you're quite satisfied with the project itself. Once you start to become satisfied with what you're working with and satisfied with the result, it becomes another part of you that you feel, is important, and you feel worthwhile to perfect and make better. And that's kind of ironic, given that it is still a part of you and your portfolio, whether you like it or not, even when a project isn't working out. But I really only tend to see passion, and I'm not talking about just myself, but from what I've observed from my peers and from seniors and juniors in my high school and middle school, and mostly in my life as well, is they only really have passion for something when it's working out, or when it's going according to plan, or when there's hope, or when there's a possibility, right? And I think that's really the tipping point, that I really think that's really a tipping point for every project, is once you get it over the threshold of possibilities, you start to, it becomes much easier once you pass that threshold. It becomes much easier to finish it. Think of it like repairing a broken china pot, right? At first, it's going to be incredibly difficult because you don't know which piece goes where. It's like solving a puzzle, right? But once you've taped up, 50-70% of the china pot, it's not really going to take too much effort to piece in everything else. That's really what passion feels like, in my opinion. Once you get it to a certain degree, or to a certain extent, it becomes much easier. And because it becomes much easier and everything fits into place, it becomes more worthwhile, and you can start to become passionate about it. If a project isn't working out, it's very difficult to be passionate about it. I think continuing a project that isn't working out, that's really more in the realm of of integrity and consistency and discipline, rather than passion. Passion is more like motivation, where it comes and goes, right? I wouldn't say you have integrity if you only have passion. That's really just, those are two very, very different things. And I really think for the bigger and more challenging projects, passion isn't going to get you through it. So if you're writing like a 1 to 2 minute speech, it's going to be, relatively simple, because once you start writing, even a paragraph, you're sort of over the threshold, um, and you feel sort of proud and satisfied with what you've written, and so from there on out, it's just editing, revising, and practicing your delivery, which is the actual easy part. And you can be passionate about doing that. But if, let's say, you're preparing for a 20-minute speech about a topic that you're unfamiliar about, then firstly, it's going to take you discipline and integrity to actually sit down and start writing about actually not even writing, but sit down and start researching about that topic. And then it's going to take you even more effort and tolerance to start writing and finishing the script. I think in this regard, ChatGPT and the generative AI industry is a very powerful tool to utilize, because create it can create formats or outlines, or it can create progress in your project that allows you to be passionate. um, you know it allows you to be passionate even without those initial stages of endurance. So with AI, it's much easier to pass the threshold of passion. That's what I'm going to call it from now. But it's really much easier to pass that threshold of passion once you start using AI, because it will do most of the initial research, outlining, formatting, etc. for you, right? It can, sort of tell you the possibilities and which ones are worth exploring. And so then you can be passionate because I have a feel of confidence, because you sort of trust the source. So I think generative AI and this new technology really gives you an insane boost of passion, and thereof productivity, uh, because it lets you pass the threshold of passion incredibly quickly. Anyway, those were just some thoughts. I guess this is a video reflection for March 28th. I think it's 28th. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye bye.